That's how you go commando.
Do you guys not? Do you not wear underwear in the military?
I wore underwear.
You're supposed to.
Well, sort of. The Marine Corps has
really.
those weird, like, swim trunk booty shorts things.
I mean, the way I see it, if the Army wanted me to have underwear, they'd issued it to me.
They did.
Okay.
No, they didn't. They're like,
They didn't issue you. They issued me tighty whities, a jock strap, the Marine Corps green skivvies.
They did it once in basic, and then
They
were
give you
like,
a housing
it was
allowance,
optional.
or not housing, a clothing allowance.
Yeah,
which
you go
covers
to-
like one uniform inspection, by the way.
It was what it was. I saw the PT shorts with the underwear already inside, and I was like, that's good enough. Like, I can't lose that.
Yeah, that's what I rocked.
And everything, all my other underwear just stayed rolled up in my lockers, and I never touched it.
Yeah, you just can't do those on deployment because the dick cheese gets too thick.
What? Hold on.
So while you're deployed, if you do a real deployment, I said what I said, you are out. There are no showers. You are taking water bottle baths and baby wipe cleanups.
Also known as whore baths.
There's usually a sink for a whore bath. It's luxurious.
Fair.
And yeah, so like if you're out, like you start sweating and like there's oils and somehow it just starts making this weird dick cheese shit in all your creases. And yeah.
I wish I could describe the look of horror on my face right now. That's
It's
awful.
similar to the look
I
of
thought
horror
you.
I had when we were talking about child rape.
All right. Well, yeah.
Or you not
To
know who
each their
Tom
own.
Green is.
I feel like I probably knew that name somewhere. I thought you had to be like uncut to get dick cheese. Like that's specifically what is under your foreskin if you have it.
I mean, it can go multiple places. Like I'm circumcised and I definitely made some dick cheese around my balls.
That's heinous. I'm gonna see if I can generate
I'm
some.
uncircumcised. I got dick cheese all the time.
That's
yeah.
terrible.
If you're out there, it's 140 degrees. You're in your underwear in the shade, still sweating your ass off. Like
when you got to choose what to shower because you only got so much water.
and
That's
so many.
fucked up. That's a bit.
Yeah, and you got to rehydrate the baby wipes,
Oh,
but don't scrub too hard because that alcohol.
I would
will
never
hurt you.
fight for this country.
Yeah.
like you guys.
Now you
did.
see why a little bit of our soul is missing, and that's just a peep.
and you're not getting that back. Like that's gone.
That's just
They
being
chipped
there.
it
That's
off.
not even the like shit going on.
Dude, that's terrible. That's so terrible. Good God. Dude, I don't know how you guys do, and you guys are just sitting there
Because we didn't get a fucking choice. That's how we
that's
did
fair.
it.
Dude, my boss told me like a month ago. He was like, "What are you gonna do with your life?" And I was like, "I was like, you never want to be asked that by your employer. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what do you have planned? You know?" He's like, "You should really join the military." And I was like, "Why do you say that?" And he's
Somebody went in the Air Force.
I think that's actually what he told me. He was like, he's like, "You should join the Air Force." And I was like,
Called it.
"Yeah." And I was like, I can't eat peanuts, man. I like if you look at me funny, I'll get
No, what's
uncomfortable."
funny is for every allergy you have, you get a red dog tag.
You're telling me about this the other day.
So Tucker would look like a goddamn Christmas tree.
ornaments all over me. I just have
Well, you
them
don't just
all
get
over
one.
me.
You get one up top and one in your boot. That way, if you get blown in half, they still know it's you.
So
They would
fucked
call
up.
you fucking Jangles, man.
They would call me what?
Jangles, dude.
Jingles.
Fucking-
That's so funny. Holy
Jangling, jangling, jangling.
I would give away our position
Every single time.
every single time.
If it wasn't for the sound, it'd be for the bright red tag.
Yeah, the sound. dude.
Whatever. Tucker would piss one person off, and they would come at him with peanut butter from the MRE.
Yeah, they just kill me. I would be the worst human to be in like any kind of combat situation with, because like what will happen is I'll get like this false sense of confidence, like oh I got these motherfuckers.
Yeah,
and then I'll get
that
my head blown
happens
off.
right after boot camp.
Yeah.
That
What
is
is
the
the Air
number
Force?
one time to get your ass kicked. No, there were so many people. It's like I'm a gray belt in Marine Corps martial arts, and it's like don't get in a real fight, kid.
Don't get in a real fight.
Most of the fighting I've ever done outside of the military, I've thrown most of my military combat stuff out the fucking window. A bar stool is a perfectly acceptable weapon.
Yeah.
Actually, the most useful fighting, and I know we're getting way off topic here.
No. We're
Hockey fighting is the most useful fighting you will ever have in
What
your
is
life.
You really,
Hockey.
Hockey.
Like
You really have to take
pull
up-
the shirt off and just start wailing on foot. It's the most useful.
See,
fighting
my
technique you'll ever
strategy
have.
is like you can't predict what I'm going to do because I don't know what I'm going to do. I just crawl around like a monkey. You can't catch me. I'm like
Tucker, that's a
lizard.
terrible strategy. Basically, take up tavern brawler in real life. But if you are around the stool, some
Nice.
Some great advice is either take your phone up there and put a timer on it that's running, and make sure your screensaver isn't gonna cover it. It isn't gonna turn black to where you can see it for the whole 2, 3, 4 minutes if you're in Atlanta, 5 or 10 if you're not, or longer. Or a lot of people are doing with their new smartwatches, they're letting them buzz them in certain increments to let them know how far along they are. That way you know how much time you have left, and you're not asking the guy running the show who's trying to take pictures of you, run the light, keep time, run sound, and do everything else, how much time you have left, because that takes the entire audience out of the comedy show.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day, another comic where it was this was someone who hasn't done comedy in a while, but we were discussing it, and that is kind of the major piece of it, is keeping the illusion of it being like an actual conversation. Like the moment you cause a disconnect like that, like how much time do I have left? It breaks the wall down, or rather, it builds the wall up between you and the audience, and it makes them feel
it's
like
no
you're
longer,
performing.
hey, we're hanging out, we're having fun.
Yeah, it's a recital.
Well, it's, oh, this guy's at work. He only wants to do his time and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it causes that weird disconnect where they think like, oh, they remember it's a performance rather than like hanging out with your strange uncle, which is kind of the vibe people want. They want it to feel like a conversation that they're a part of, even if they don't say anything. Like they have no part in it other than the laugh. But to them, it's that connection.
Well, comedy's always been that way. That's why you look at most comedy backgrounds, it's a brick wall. Because it's not, oh, here we are in the theater, here, whatever. It's, okay, we're outside the bar talking shit. We're outside of any building just shooting the shit and discussing how ridiculous being on this marble really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 straight white people. Well, you're not straight. Oh, thank God. Oh, dude.
Well, fuck.
See, now we're a little step above the 3, because normally it's 3 straight white guys in a basement doing a comedy podcast talking about the scene. But now we're a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm queer as fuck.
There you go.
Trans as fuck. I'm just
See?
not dressed up today. I'm tired as fuck. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning.
What the hell did you do at 4 o'clock in the morning? I woke up at 2.
My animals woke me up.
You should kill them.
When I get, I kind of want to punch them in their fucking face for waking me up. And I had an early VA appointment this morning, so I was like, well, I'm up, so I might as well just stay up.
Right.
Yeah. But again, with the stool, put your phone out, have a timer on it, put a cue card. If you have to have little one-word reminders of where you are in your set, so you don't have to say, what's next? What else?
Oh, yeah, the moment someone says something, somebody's like, oh, what else? What else? I'm like,
oh, y'all didn't like that one, pushing through. Like, let them think this is just you coming up with it off the top of your head. Like, that's the hardest part of comedy, because you have to rehearse it, but it still has to sound like it's a new idea.
Every once in a while, I'll be guilty of a little comment like that, but it's never those. It's always, sometimes I'll just say like an offhand comment, and it'll really get a laugh, and it's very like low hanging fruit. I'm like, wow, is that easy? All right, like that's like that. That's the closest I'll get, because it really does catch me off guard.
It does, and we're all guilty of this. The only rule in comedy is be funny. Everything else is guidelines. But you do that, and then what I do is I hide the cue card behind a drink. You know?
Right.
That way, oh, I need to catch my thoughts. I need to reflect. You know? Grab a drink. Hey, tip your bartenders. Here is to you, and here is to me, and here's this moment we're sharing together. Cheers. Drink as you put it down, bend down. See where you're at on time. See where you're at on your card. Go back into it.
I get so lost in the performance that I don't ever have time to do shit like that. Like it's so third party for me. Well, no, because it used to be like I was very zoned in and I could do shit like that, like a very like approach of that sort where there's thought behind it. But as I've done it more over time, it's become for me kind of like I kind of zone out in the middle of it. I'm not thinking about anything. It's just coming out of me. Which is, it's on one hand, it makes things very nice because it's very off the cuff and it's very natural from me. But on the other hand, there's things that I need to be thinking about that I can't focus on.
Well, you're also new at it, and you come up with new material almost every time you're up on stage.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of material because I've been sick for like a week and a half. So I've just been getting inebriated and writing. So
we just call that writing.
Well, no, I just, because what'll happen is I'll have these little inner monologues with myself when I'm just like pissed or
we
something.
call those voices.
Yeah, but that sounds.
Get him the socks. Get him the grippy socks.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah. So,
straight jacket for you and me.
Are you ready? Yeah.
For the padded room.
No. Chink, chink. Yeah. So, yeah, I forgot my train of thought. I got so lost in that. Normally it's kind of like I'll be stuck in traffic and I'll start kind of bitching in my head about stuff. And one of my real strategies for writing is I will kind of stand up wherever usually in my room, and I'll kind of like put myself in the mindset of being on stage. And I'm like, what would I start talking about if I was just having to riff right now? And then and then I'll kind of riff to myself, and then I'll write it out, and then I'll flesh that out into bits.
And we'll get further into that a little later on, as opposed to riffing and crowd work or material or all these different options, callbacks, pacing. We'll go over all these later on. But basically, you have to figure out what works for you and how your voice works. And the only way you're going to do that is to try. You're going to try. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes you are going to fail.
Oh, yeah, man. I've had bits come to me that I think are the funniest thing in the world. And sometimes I'll even write them, think they're the funniest thing in the world, and know they're not going to work going into it. Like, no, this is very much for me. But I'll still try them because, obviously I think they're funny. And sometimes you just have to go home with knowing, like, that one just ain't going to work. But some of them really will, And sometimes it's the stuff you never think is going to be funny. Like, some of the bits I tell, like, repeatedly are ones that I don't really think are that funny, but people eat that shit up. So it's like, you don't ever throw it out,
Well, I feel you need to try it on 3 different stages, 3 different areas, 3 different groups.
Yeah.
Before you say it does or doesn't work.
Yeah.
Unless you know something is way too military dark for normal people.
That camel
and your
story.
friend tells you should do it on stage.
Camel,
and you do it and you could hear a pin drop.
I was cackling.
You were the only one laughing.
Are you familiar with this story that he's talking about?
No.
Okay. So Trey's got this whole story about a camel that gets his head blown off with a deck cord. It's a whole thing, and he'll tell it to you one day. He told me this story when we were on the road once, and it was probably one of the funniest stories I've ever heard in my life. I was in tears. I was just like, that's so funny. I was like, why do you not tell this on stage? It's like, people aren't going to like it. I'm like, I think it's hilarious because it's like such a tale. Like, it's such like an adventure. And he goes up, tells it, and frankly eats shit. Just
eats
fucking
the most shit I've ever
silence
at my own room.
At his own show. Bombs. And I am cackling in the back like I just heard it for the first time. And everyone's looking at me. Like, they're like, why do you think that's funny? I'm like, that's fucking priceless.
I'm just saying, you just said Camel got his head blown off by that cord. I'm trying not to laugh right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's all I needed to hear.
It was the way he talked about how they slit the first one's throat. Because he starts going to this tale about, he's like, well, the first one we just slit its throat, and it started making this terrible noise. It would just go,
So here's the thing with dark humor, right? In order to enjoy dark humor, something as bad or worse has had to happen to you so that you can relate to this horrible story. Otherwise, people just look at you like you need therapy.
I'll tell you one later.
Yeah.
About the time that I donkey punched a donkey to death.
Oof, that's fucked up.
My first partner, Boomer, he tried to mount a donkey in Afghanistan.
God bless him.
Yeah, and
Where
then
is he now?
He's probably passed. We got paired up, and he was 2 or 3 in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, he's probably.
But we went overseas and found 9 IEDs together, did the Mars invasion, and then I kept looking for him because civilian contractors and they change companies like hermit crabs. Yeah. And I found him again. He had 21 IED finds and had lost his tail due to crate tail.
Oh.
So total badass pooch. And then I lost that contact